We voyaged and found El Dorado, we've taken the train to Shangri-La, and this week we once again take a journey in the Uncharted franchise. Hey everyone, my name is Kane, and on occasion I play games, and today we're taking a look at Uncharted 3: Drake's Deception, released in 2011. As was the case for the two prior entries in the Uncharted franchise, we are looking at them via the Nathan Drake collection on my PS5, meaning that this is the remastered version of Uncharted 3. The prior two Uncharted reviews, which you can watch by clicking the eye up in the top right hand corner of your screen, have been very good, but haven't quite lived up to the reputation that preceded them. So I'm a little bit skeptical going into Uncharted 3 on whether or not this game can actually live up to its lofty praise. As always, if you enjoy what you see in today's video, consider giving us a like and a subscription for future uploads, but with that out of the way, it's time we finally ask, Uncharted 3: Drake's Deception, how bad can it be? Keeping on trend with the prior two entries, Uncharted 3 follows Nathan Drake once more on his journeys around the world with mentor Victor Sullivan. The plot of Drake's Deception sees us searching for the lost city of Aram, or as it's also known, the Atlantis of the Sands, in a journey that sees us not only explore the world, but Drake as a character and his past. The opening of Uncharted 3, while not as grand in spectacle and awe-inspiring as Among Thieves, honestly suited my preferences a little bit more. The obvious point to make is that the opening follows Drake and Sully in London, and that because I'm from one of the nations within the United Kingdom, that would be the reason it appeals to me, but honestly that's not actually what made this opening so great, though the setting of a British pub filled with the most pub-looking men imaginable did get a laugh out of me in my Twitch chat. No, the reason I love this opening so much is that it combines what made the prior two openings so great in their own ways. Among Thieves' opening was a great scene and hooked the player in well, but didn't do a whole lot with that setup in my opinion, and the first Uncharted's opening, while pretty generic, was driven by a strong sense of character and action. Uncharted 3: Drake's Deception finds a way to do both of these things, and it is expertly done. Both Drake and Sully being in the scene brings the strong sense of character. The shadiness of the deal going down in different locations provides the mystery and hook, and then it all ends in a really fun action sequence via a bar brawl, and then another hook on top of that. This feeling expands to the rest of the game also. Uncharted 3 takes the charm, writing, and characters of the first game and combines it with the incredible settings, massive sense of scale, and overall blockbuster feel of Among Thieves. In my first video on the Uncharted franchise, I described it as a modern-day Indiana Jones story, and while I still believe that, I believe Uncharted 3 is far more befitting of that description. Drake's Deception provides an experience that is reminiscent of the fun, action-filled, and adventurous feel of, say, an Indiana Jones, but with a far more modern understanding of character development, writing, and using visuals to inform the narrative. The best example of this for me is the large portion of this game in the desert leading up to Aram. Deserts are a hard environment to make engaging, as they're pretty bland just by their nature of being nothing but sand, but Uncharted 3 actually uses this to its advantage, pulling back the camera for some wider shots that show the predicament Drake is in. This sequence also hyperfixates on specific landmarks multiple times to further convey his struggle. Frequent shifts from gameplay to cutscene and back again also ensure that something is always happening, and it stops the player from getting too bored and keeps them engaged. It's absolutely masterfully done. Honestly, playing these games back to back have made for a fascinating look into how quickly Naughty Dog evolved their understanding of what makes a truly great video game, learning mistakes from past entries and making for a game that holds up exceedingly well in my opinion, even over a decade after its release. This even extends into the gameplay of Uncharted 3, which is just all around better than the previous two entries to the franchise. The movement and climbing controls feel a lot smoother than, say, Among Thieves' did, almost requiring no thought outside of some minor occasions. Uncharted 3 even added a few chase sequences into the mix based around parkour and movement, and they are absolutely fantastic. They add so much flavor to the gameplay and really boosted my opinion of this game overall. The puzzles are a lot more engaging and interesting across the board in Drake's Deception, and while I think it was lacking that one super memorable puzzle like the temple in Among Thieves for example, the ones we got are all fantastic, requiring a lot of actual thought and having enough variety so as to not get old. Then we have the combat, and let me tell you, they finally learned how to make it consistently good in Uncharted 3. While I never really had an issue with the guns themselves in the other games, they are improved upon in Uncharted 3, feeling a lot nicer to control overall. On the other hand, the melee combat in Uncharted 3 is such a vast improvement over the prior games that they even dedicated multiple segments to it, including the fantastic intro to the game. The biggest improvement to Uncharted 3 in my opinion though is that Naughty Dog finally learned how to make an engaging combat sequence. Combat encounters in Drake's Deception don't require you to sit behind a box and shoot the same spongy enemies over and over again. You actually move with the combat. The game encourages you to do so based on how they're set up. It's fantastic. It's such a vast improvement over the prior games. The scenes, they evolve, they change. It's so much better. It's honestly delightful in this game as opposed to a chore in the previous two, and I'm incredibly thankful for that because I was slowly losing my mind playing these games. Uncharted 3 still has its more unique sequences too. My personal favourites are the convoy chase on horseback and the plane fight, which are incredible. They are so much fun, giving you the thrill of the action while also keeping some difficulty in there for good measure. On top of all that though, there are no horrendously boring or BS boss fights in this entire game. It's so good. I finally understood why people love Naughty Dog after playing Uncharted 3. Their ability to balance incredible storytelling with fun and engaging gameplay while having both be of such a high standard is so impressive. Honestly, Uncharted 3 did such a good job that it made the prior two titles feel more worth it to me, as while I certainly didn't regret playing them, it was their connection to this experience and how it enhanced upon it that made me appreciate them that much more. And that's Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception, a title that not only amends the mistakes of the titles that came before it, but one that fully eclipses them in quality, making for an experience so excellent and one that truly is befitting of the reputation that precedes it, at least in its remastered state anyway. Thanks for watching this video on Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception. If you like what you saw today, remember to hit that like button and consider subscribing for future uploads. Also leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this game and the two titles that came before it. How do they rank for you? Because this is definitely number one for me right now. I would love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I've been Kane, and I'll see you all soon.